All right, good morning YouTube. It is Nick with NK Landscaping again as usual. We got a fun little project. We're on a big job right now, and on the last job we were on, we actually had some issues with the Yardmax. So I don't think I'm going to be able to get my job, the full video of this job we're currently on done in time, so might as well film some repairs on this guy right here. So this is our Yardmax power Trackbarrow. We've had this thing for a number of years and it's been a fantastic tool for our business, and I have a whole video on this thing I'll link down in the description, but we've got a couple issues with this thing today. One of the biggest flaws of this machine from the factory is this drive lever. You can see we machined a mount for the drive lever because the factory mount doesn't work very well. And basically, if you can see here, that cable does not look so good. So I got a new cable. We're going to be putting that on because right now it does not want to drive very well. And then we also have a pretty much broken pull start cable. So we're going to be replacing the drive cable and fixing that pull start cable. And then I think we're just going to go ahead and do a full service on this thing. It probably is in deservance of an oil change. But yeah, that's probably the biggest flaw I'd have to say with this Yardmax. It's just, they didn't design this very well. And then my design is a little bit better. So I added this bracket and this machine plate. And it works a lot better. It's just this cable takes a lot of abuse. So we always carry a few of those in stock. Pretty easy to swap, nothing too crazy. It just runs down under this clutch cover over here, so we will have to be pulling that off. So let's get into it and get this thing back in action. So down here, a little 10mm nut. Then we gotta take off for this cover, this lower cover. It is a carriage bolt, luckily. Okay, you can see we got a nice stone in here. So you can see with that guard off, you have access. This is the main flywheel that actually drives the transmission. We have our tensioner pulley that gets activated with the cable. And we've got a really worn out belt here. If I can get it out one-handed. Look at that. That is not looking so good. So it's a good thing we'll be in here to replace that. But the drive cable, I believe, is operated here with this. This is the drive cable right here. We've got a spring, quick adjustment right here. And then that rides all the way up to the lever up there. That's just another 1/2 inch nut in here. Basically get that backed off. Now we can go ahead and unhook this spring. I think we're actually gonna have to go up top and disconnect this pin here. Okay, that's disconnected from the top. I'm going to snip a couple zip ties. They're holding everything in place. Okay. With those disconnected, you can back that off all the way. A little bit of wiggling. I now have that off, and here we go. All right, so you can see we have this end that actually hooks to the tensioner with an adjustment here, and then on the other end, this is what actually goes to the machine, and we have an adjuster and a really messed up cable. No good. So we went ahead and we ordered 3 of these things. They come with the adjuster on this end and this end, along with the spring. These do go bad pretty often, so we wanted to make sure we had extras, and they only cost $3 a piece. They're like $3.50. I wish I ordered more, but shouldn't be too hard to get this back in. It's just reverse of the taking it apart. Go ahead and back this first nut all the way off. Now we can slip that into its adjuster. Make sure you got your cables routed properly. Now we can hook that spring on there, nice and easy. Now right now I cannot actually adjust this fully because we don't have a belt. I gotta get that new belt first. But I'll just go ahead and get this roughly adjusted where I think it's gonna be about right. But they give you a lot of room for adjustment, not only here, but at the top. So that's it for that. So now this will pull on this tensioner pulley. Just check everything. We actually just replaced the bearings on this not too long ago. It seems like those are working good. Everything else is within the transmission. But this isn't gonna move right now because I don't know if you can see it right there, that cable. So that actually activates the brake. So with this in the fully out position, the brake is going to be engaged. And when you pull for drive, when this pushes up against your belt, it'll disengage that brake there. All right, so here we are on the top side. Basically, this will slot in here, and then this adjuster screws in. That's another adjustment that you have that's a little easier to get to. So you'll set your main adjustment down at the bottom with this thing basically fully tightened. So you have room to back this out in the future when the cable stretches. So I'm going to go ahead and wind this all the way in. Now this may be different, you know, clearly if you have a factory Yardmax, you're not going to have this bracket, but the cable thing is still the same. So we're going to go ahead. Looks like I actually don't have enough room, so I'll have to give myself some extra adjustment down at the bottom. So to do that, I'm basically just going to back the adjuster all the way off so I can push the adjustment rod farther forward, giving me more room on this end. And we can then pivot this up, put our pin through, washer, and C-clip. Okay, so now this fully moves. And the way that I set this up back in the day is I put this bolt here to act as a stop. Now it doesn't work now because of the change of geometry here, but this kind of bottoms out at the same time. And once I back this off a little bit, it'll actually bottom out, so will still work. But now we need to get a new belt. So again, everything on this machine is super simple. We have 3 8mm bolts holding this pull start in place. And as you can see, I got this thing up on the jack cart. Just helps to get this a little closer, so I'm not crouched over in my old age. We've rebuilt this pull start a few times. It's just the nature of using this thing commercially. It gets started a lot on the job because you don't want to have it sitting there running the whole time, so you're always starting it. The pull start just gets abused. So that pops right off. You see on the back side of here, we have access to our string. So we'll basically go ahead and replace this now. All right, so this was not enough length. You basically would bottom out on your pull before this thing got fully extended. So that's probably another reason why it broke. So just have this generic string. You're gonna tie a knot on the end, and that will be pulling out the old knot. So if you've never worked on a pull start before, it's pretty simple. Just recall, when you cut this line, this thing's gonna wanna spool in all the way. So you always wanna keep a finger on it to keep it from going in. So I'll cut the old rope there. You can pull it out. Yeah, there wasn't much left of this thing. So again, I'm just going to continue holding that in place. Probably have to cut it from this end. There we go. So now, if we let go of this, this will just keep spinning in. Now it's okay as long as you know you have to basically recoil that. We're going to take our new string. We're going to go ahead and install it through that hole, which sometimes it's a little harder. It's easier said than done. Okay, for those of you that don't know these strings, when the end gets all frayed like this, go ahead and get yourself a lighter. And you can basically, depends on the string, but it has to be a plastic-based string, like nylon or something. You can actually melt that back in place so it's not all frayed like that. Let that cool down enough where I can handle it, and then we'll pinch it down so it fits through the hole. Do not touch it when it's molten, it will hurt, it will stick to your hand. Ask me how I know. I'm just going to kind of shape this into a point before it hardens all the way. You can see there. So now we can get this thing through the hole. There we go. It's just peeking out. Okay. So we'll go ahead and pull that through until my knot hits. Now that can't pull through. Now we're going to go ahead and stick the excess string through the starter hole. Alright, now we need to wind this thing up. So we're going to go in the same direction that you pull it, so it would spin like this. We're going to pull the string up and out. We're going to go ahead and spin it. That's 1, 2, 3, and let's go for 4. So now we'll let this thing pull its way in, and that's where it starts pulling. Oh yeah, that feels like more than enough length. So we'll go ahead. Let's take a vice grip here so this can't go back in. Now take the end of our string, put it through my homemade pull start handle. Pull that back to where our vice grip is. And we'll go ahead and tie a knot. Cut our string. Pull off our vice grip. And now we have a working pull start. So you can still go now. Say you want to add a little more tension, because I'm thinking it feels a little bit weak. Go ahead and do that same thing where we kind of pull our string and we'll rotate it one more time. Pull the tension back out. Now that feels really good. You melt the end of my rope so it doesn't fray on me with the world's worst lighter. Okay, so now we have a nice melted rope. Good amount of pull tension. So Kurt's going on an adventure up to our belt storage to see if we have an extra belt lying around. But I'm gonna go ahead and get this starter put on here. So again, this is just reverse of installation, nothing special. You got your 8mm bolts. Now you don't want to go and put 80 foot-pounds of torque on here. Use your discretion as I launch one of these bolts across the room. You can also clock this kind of however you want. I'm just going to go ahead and clock this so that the pull starts back where it should be. I'm just using 1/4 inch tooling right now because you can't really over torque. Oh yeah. that's nice. All right, we got a working pull start again. All right, guys, so I'm back with a new belt. It's not the right one, but it's better than this thing. So Tractor Supply was out of stock. AutoZone didn't have it, but Napa had this. This is a 5L330W belt, so it's 33 inches instead of 32 like the factory. So if you were curious, this is a 5/8 by 32 inch long belt, and the 33 seems to work. So I've got this thing kind of semi-adjusted. See if I can bring you in here. So the biggest thing we're gonna want to see right here is that when I pull the adjuster, you see when I get to the end there, I have a little bit of tension in that spring, but the belt's not moving anymore. So I want to make sure we get full tension and a little bit of stretch in that spring. So I might actually tighten it up just a little bit more. So I want to make sure that spring has some pressure on there, but that looks pretty good. I'm just going to pull the motor over just to make sure everything's seated. Same thing, I get a little bit of spring, but you can see the belt's not tensioning anymore, so that's good. Belt's nice and tight. And then when that gets released, this cable down here gets released and releases the brake, or actually turns the brake on. When I pull on that, the brake turns off, allowing the thing to move. So that's good. While you guys are away, I went ahead and took the carburetor off, and I cleaned that up in the ultrasonic cleaner. So that's all clean. I'm gonna go let this thing warm up so I can change the oil. Let's see how it runs now that the carburetor has been all fixed up. If I can get it started. So now it's time for an oil change. I'm a big fan of this guy right here. This is an OEM Tools pneumatic fluid extractor. So with this one I can hook it right up to the compressor. I don't have to do any oil drain plug nonsense, because if you look at that, it's not a really great spot for the oil drain plug. So this thing makes it easy. So all we have to do here, I always wipe down around here. I don't want any of this dirt and grime getting down into the oil pan. I'll throw that rag down in case there's extra oil or the angle we're at is weird. Sometimes this thing likes to leak when you take the plug out. Yep. So super easy. We've got our little hose. Turn on the extractor. And stick that right in there. And it does all the work for me. I don't have to do anything except hold this hose. Virtually mess-free. This is a really good tool to have around the shop. The big thing with these, you definitely want to make sure that oil is warm, because if it's not, it doesn't flow very well, especially through these small, the hole in the end of this is probably 3/16. It's not very big. We're going to go ahead and when that thing starts drawing air, we'll just tip back on this a little bit, make sure we're getting all that oil out of there. These motors don't hold a lot. That's looking like about all of it. So I'm going to top this thing up with oil. This is just some 530 we have lying around. That's kind of what I run in the equipment. You gotta have one of these long funnels. I think this thing takes about a quart. Toss your dipstick on the ground. And that's pretty much there. For small engines, I know a lot of they don't say this, but you don't ever want to screw the dipstick in general. You're supposed to just touch the threads to the end, or at least that's how it is in the majority of the manuals. You're definitely going to want to read your manual, but I know a lot of people, they'll just put it in, screw the dipstick in, and then they get a measurement, and that's not always right. The majority of small engines I work on, they just want you to rest the, my cat's trying to get in here. They just want you to rest the dipstick right on the end. That's how you get your true measurement. So now that is taken care of. I gotta go put these guards back on, and then this thing will be done, I think. So we're all back together. Looking good, running good. This thing has never really actually run that good, this Briggs & Stratton motor. There's no adjustment on the carburetor, so you can't really get it to run the way you want. Kind of surges a little more than I like, and you can see by the soot stain that it likes to run a little rich. But other than that, this Yardmax has given us a lot of good use, and we're still really happy with it. I definitely just wanted to make this video showing the common issues that you're gonna have. Number one being with this handle here and the contraption they have, you know, from the factory that has been modded to this. So I got that. You can see that that's screwed all the way in. That gives me adjustment for when this cable decides to stretch. I can back that adjuster out and retension this. And then that drive belt, that's gonna be something you're just gonna need to maintain. You know, these things go bad over time, and you just gotta put new parts on it. But otherwise, these brake cables, all that, we've never had any trouble with it. We have switched out the factory on-off switch for something else, because that stopped working on us, but I think that was more that it got hit with something than it failed. But overall, this unit has been extremely good to us, and I wouldn't hesitate to buy another one. Very simple, very crude machines, but they sure as heck get the job done, and it's better than a wheelbarrow. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little basic little video. Nothing crazy, but it's just maintenance that we got to do here in the shop. Keep things running smoothly, and for a nice long time. I'm a real big believer in maintenance. So glad we can get this thing fixed and running again, and it's gonna go back out back, go back in the shed until we need it on looks like the next job it's gonna be coming out on. So thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. You ever thought about buying one of these things? I know on my Yardmax video I got a lot of comments of people curious about this thing. I would recommend it. Fun little machine. So thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one, and it's gonna be a good one, so stay tuned.